couple of weeks back I headed out to Morocco to ride the new Triumph Tiger 800. If you remember, we also promised that for every new bike we rode, we'd also take a look at the used options of that new machine. So the Tiger 800 has been around in this triple cylinder adventure bike style since 2010. That means there's plenty of them out there. 68,000 of them, in fact, have sold from new 8 years ago. So we've spoken to a bunch of dealers and a bunch of owners about this bike, and before we tell you what we know about them, if you're sat at home and you're a Tiger 800 owner and you've had experiences that you want to share, stick them in the comments below and join the conversation. So we've come down to Carl Rosner Triumph in southeast London. We're looking at this 2013 plate Triumph Tiger XC. It's done 24,000 miles and it's for sale here for £6,000. So our conversation with owners of Tiger 800s, particularly the earlier versions, has shown that build quality is really high on these bikes. They're built to last. No real issues with paint corrosion or brakes furring up or anything like that. One thing that you do have to expect with any version of Tiger 800 is the fact that because they've been bought by adventure bike fans, chances are they're going to have slightly higher miles than the average sports bike from the same year. So like we said, this 2013 bike has done 25,000 miles. You might think that's high if you compare that to a Fireblade, but in relative terms, the mileage is still really low. Chatting to guys in the workshop here and at other Triumph dealerships has shown that there are no real issues for you to worry about. You might find if you hang around on Triumph forums that the gear position indicator and the gear shifter mechanisms are all just about to explode on all these Tigers. The reality is, you know, this is one of the busiest Triumph dealers in London. These guys deal with gear shifter mechanisms at a rate of about 3 a year. It costs less than 200 quid to fix. It's quite a simple job. You just feel like the gear lever has gone sloppy. There's some work that needs doing inside the bike. Very few bikes suffer with it. It's the earlier bikes that you need to think about. A couple of other owners mentioned throttle position sensors and the throttle bodies needing to have some kind of software reset done on them. Nothing mechanical, no fundamental errors going on, nothing's about to burst its way outside the engine. It's just something that a couple of the bikes have suffered from, but as soon as they take them into a dealer, they plug them in, reset them, and you're all good to go. So fundamentally, what you're looking at with the Tiger 800 as a used bike option is a bit of a workhorse. This will do stacks of miles. It's never really going to lose its shine. It's not a particularly sexy bike, but it is a pucker workhorse. You can do everything on these. I know guys that have ridden them on track. I know guys that have ridden them around the world. They just seem to be a little bit of a do-it-all bike. Again, we mentioned earlier, what that means is you've got to expect that the miles will be a little bit higher than other used bikes. So one area where you can definitely score a win as a used bike buyer is finding a bike where someone else has taken a hit on all of the accessories that you can buy for bikes like this. Triumph do these beautiful arrow systems as stock out of the accessory catalogue. Chances are somebody is going to have chosen to fit luggage racks to one. They're going to have fitted heated grips, 12-volt sockets, adjustable screens. The list is almost endless. Find a bike within your budget that suits what you're looking for, and if you can, take a little bit of time and you'll probably find one that's got even more accessories on it. It's got even more cool stuff that you don't have to pay for because somebody else has already taken the hit. Consider that some of these bikes are going to have been ridden off-road. That means you want to make sure that you focus on things like head race bearings, get the front wheel up off the floor, twist it, make sure it goes from full left lock to full right lock fluidly. If it doesn't, probably going to need new head race bearings. Factor it into the budget when you're looking for a bike to buy. Another thing to consider, especially with bikes that are designed to be ridden on and off-road, is things like chips and dinks in things like these Pillion grab handles at the back. Chances are, if you've ridden it off-road and you get a little bit tired, as you're swinging a leg over the bike, your kind of clumpy off-road boot is going to start chipping away at the paint and the finish on things like these grab handles. It's not going to stop these things from doing what they're supposed to do, but it's another thing that you need to look at and tick off when you're going through the checks for the used bike that you're looking at. So in terms of price range, skinflints can spend just under £4,000. Expect to find a non-accessoried 2011 plate bike with sky-high miles, all the way up to £8,500 for, as these guys have got downstairs, a fully spec'd, fully pimped 2015 used version. So in the 8-year life cycle that these bikes have been around, there hasn't really been too many fundamental changes. Susie, in fact, rode in 2015 on the Triumph Tiger XCX launch.
Great that you can turn off the ABS and the traction control, because I find it weird when you've got that on and it kicks in as you're coming around a corner, because you kind of, I'm not used to having traction control or ABS on an off-road bike.
If you're smaller in height, not that physically strong like me, or you just want to give adventure riding a go, don't let the size of the Tigers put you off. They're extremely manageable and they instill confidence in you straight away.
So the bike that Susie's just been riding there was the 2015 model. That was quite a big change for Tiger Evolution. It meant ride-by-wire throttle. Apparently that improved fuel consumption by about 17%. It also meant that Triumph fitted traction control to the Tiger. If you're looking at the difference in price and wondering why a 14 version is much cheaper than a 15, the software and the technology going on inside Tiger post 2015 is a little bit more modern and justifies that extra expense. So when it comes to buying a used Tiger 800, the one thing that we would recommend is doing your best to try and find the budget to buy from a dealer. If you can, a Triumph dealer at that, an authorised Triumph dealer. Simple things like the 12,000 mile service that involve a shim check. These bikes need to be plugged into Triumph computers by Triumph technicians that know what they're doing. It's all well and good saving a few quid with your local dealer around the corner, but unless he knows the intricacies of these bikes and he's got the specialist tools required to carry out the servicing that they need, chances are what you save when you're buying at the front door, you're going to lose out the back door when you've got to shell out for this stuff 6 or 12 months down the line. So things to think about: dealer history, opening that history up, flick through the pages, see what work has been done. Don't just assume that the work has been done because the file is this thick. Do your best to find a bike with as many accessories as you can within the budget that you're working with, and pretty much once you've done that, find a colour that suits you. Buy a bike that we think you could probably put a fair amount of faith in and going to make you smile.